My name is Pete, and welcome to my garage. We have a few different length bolts. Okay, all these bolts are the same length. Right here, these are the ones that just go around by the fuel injectors. Nothing fancy about these. Okay, it gets a little trickier when you get back here. There's a stud right here. And remember, the bracket that goes around this EGR valve goes over that stud right there. Okay, another long bolt's going to go here because this is longer. And one of these two is a stud. And I probably got in the wrong spot, but I'll go back and fix that. And these torque down to 89 inch-pounds. Another tool I really like is this tin on a stick. It's 3/8 drive there, and it's a swivel tin there that gets really into some tight spots. Alright, this bracket right here goes on this stud, and then the bottom side goes onto that bracket right there. So and the EGR valve, make sure you plug that in and get the wiring harness routed properly, clipped in. Alright, I still got to get my fuel rail in here, but I can plug in my brake booster hose back here. And we'll drop the fuel rail on now. Now we make sure these O-rings are nice and clean. I do not like to stick them in dry, always lube them up. If you don't have any Transgel or any kind of grease or Vaseline or something, WD-40 or something, anything to lube those up, just do not stick them in dry, because if you roll one, then you got a vacuum leak that's hard to trace down. Alright, make sure they're all lined up on the studs. Push them down. And if you lube them up and get it all lined up, you should just push right down nice and easy. You should not have to suck it down with the bolts or the nuts or anything, but if you don't put any lube on there, then you're probably going to end up having to suck it down with the nuts here for the fuel rail, and then you're going to end up rolling those O-rings, which is not good. Okay, we'll just plug in our fuel injectors, making sure we don't get them crossed, although on the 3800 here, it's pretty hard to get these mixed up. Some engines, you can mix them up, and that's never good. But just luckily, this one won't reach over there unless you're really stretching it. And at that point, I mean, use common sense. You should know that something's not quite right. Make sure they clip down. And if you can just pull back up on them, then they're not down good. You see this one is still stuck in from when I pushed it in. So I need to make sure that gets released. There we go. And it clips on, makes a nice click noise. It's nice and solid. All right, we're going to snap that down in there. This one right here is for right there. Now I see it all the time where people go breaking all these wiring harness retainers and everything. Don't be that guy or gal. Make sure those fuel lines go on nice and easy so you don't ruin the O-rings in there. You don't want any fuel leaks that can cause what are known to GM as thermal events, not fires. Plug in our idle air control, our mass air meter, and throttle position sensor. We have a vacuum port that goes right there. That's for this, which supplies vacuum for our fuel pressure regulator. And we also get our evap purge flow vapors through there. Okay, that connects there. Now I still have to repair these wires on this harness, so I'm going to leave it be, but I'll plug this one in for now. So that's good. I'll route that underneath later. Alright, we're looking pretty good now. Getting in the home stretch. Now this bracket back here goes to the top of the alternator, and that's held on with that bolt. So we'll wait for that, and then the nut goes on the top. We just got to put our alternator on now. Don't forget to plug in our map sensor too. These spark plug wires are going to route right over the top of the engine. You can see the spot that GM left us right there to hold those in. Okay, this one right here is our stud. Short bolt goes back here. Actually, I didn't even have to take it all the way out. I could have just left it slightly loose, because that will slide in there and locate that. And this. And there. Once everything's located, Got our trusty hammerhead with our 15 loaded on it. These swivel sockets are nice, especially if they're a little bit deeper for these studs. Which right there, that's not going to work, but just enough to get on it. Also, we still have our coolant hose to hook up. Usually you can release these with a pocket screwdriver. Get it where you want it. Bam, released it, we're good to go. Now we need to route our spark plug wires. This is cylinder number 5 here. It's pretty self-explanatory on these ignition coils. Cylinder number 5 right there. This one's cylinder number 1, which the odds are the bottom ones. And this is number 4 and number 1 right there. And cylinder number 3. Now it's good. I'm going to have to do the zip tie trick since I don't have any retainers to hold these things in place. But you're supposed to throw that trough away that's supposed to hold those spark plug wires in place, because it holds all that oil that was leaking from the valve covers. And when that happens, then it can cause a fire, allegedly. I think they called it the thermal event recall. Alright, so I need to trace these to see which cylinder is which. I would assume that the long one is probably going to go down here, but we'll see. 4, cylinder 6. Now they're where they need to be. And I'll make that look pretty before I'm done, after I finish fixing these wires right here. At this point, all I need to do is throw the belt on, and let's see, the throttle cable and cruise control cable and the air inlet. Change the oil and add coolant, and we're done. Now it is time to put our belt back on. You do remember how this belt went, didn't you? I hope so. We need our 15mm socket and our ratchet.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, please hit the like button. If you would like to see more content like this, please hit subscribe, and I'll get more content up as soon as I can. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments section. I'll answer them back.